everybody, and welcome to Spiritually Speaking with Lauri Albert. I hope everybody's having a great day. Day after Eclipse Day. Man, was that crazy yesterday. It was just so energetic. About 2 hours before it hit here in Los Angeles, you know what I mean. But about 2 hours before it sort of was totality here, I was like buzzing, like literally my skin was buzzing. And I had to explain to some of my friends that don't do this work, like what I was dealing with, kind of thing. And by last night, I was like, I had to go to bed. I just came home and I just went to bed. It was kind of crazy. So yeah, it is what it is, right? So welcome to the show. I have a great show tonight. It's going to be so much fun. We have my special guest, Nicole Romano. She's a Reiki master. She'll be coming on in just a minute. And I will be taking calls. Nicole and I both, because Nicole is also a medium and an intuitive. So we will be taking your calls. I wanted to read, though, of course, I don't have my glasses. It's okay, I put it in big print. The horoscope from rulingplanets.com, Christopher Renstrom. And I wanted to read this week's because it was kind of interesting, too. On October 21st, which was yesterday, the United States of America will experience its first visible solar eclipse since 1776. I didn't know that. 1776, that's incredible. Whose path falls exclusively in the United States. It's a big astrological event that everyone is talking about. Eclipses, now this is kind of interesting. Eclipses were often regarded as portents of evil in ancient times. I think I read some of this last week, but instead of running out to see them, people were advised to stay indoors and to block out any light until the eclipse was over. I just find that fascinating, right? Talk about superstition. That's crazy. So anyway, yet eclipses have always been used by astrologers to rectify their calendars. Back in the day, like in the times of Babylon, there were no Apple watches or clocks or even sundials to tell time. Astrologers had to use the planets and stars in the sky as their guides. If an eclipse occurred as predicted, then the astrologers knew that the calendar was on time. If the eclipse didn't go off as planned, then it was back to the ziggurat to find out what went wrong. Nowadays, we don't think much of correcting our clocks and watches, but eclipses are still seen by astrologers as the life course correctors in your horoscope. Okay, that's the key thing, right? When an eclipse shadow falls in your chart, which I think it's Leo, to be honest, which is my husband, by the way, then it shows in your chart, it shows the area of your life that needs correcting. This is something that you will discover within the next 2 weeks. Kind of frightening, right? What's going to be corrected, you know? I mean, it's kind of crazy. So at any rate, so I just thought that was kind of fun. So I guess we'll see what's going to be happening. But it feels like a new time, a new feel. Like the energy right now feels it just feels new. And I love that, right? I love that. So, and it was fun watching all of the coverage of it, I thought, on the TV, because what was happening was that these anchors were like giddy. They were so excited, you know. And then when the lights would go, or when the sun would be completely blocked, everybody was like, "Oh my God, this is so amazing!" And it's just like, "Oh my God, I love that people were into that," because that's what I deal with. I don't want to say on a daily basis, kind of thing, but that's what I deal with. That's what I love to deal with. So the energy of it all and the amazement, because you know, there's more to our life here than just our little planet. There's a whole big universe and several universes, lots and lots of universes out there. So at any rate, so yeah, so that's a lot of fun. Okay, so I would like now to introduce my guest this evening. Her name is Nicole Romano, and she is a Reiki master, a medium and intuitive, and I will say an amazing empath. And please come on and sit down. Thanks for joining me.
Hi there.
I'm so excited. This is so exciting because, first of all, she's my first guest on my show. So thank you for
inviting me.
Oh, of course.
Thanks. I'm glad to be here.
Nicole is, I mean, I know I said that she's a Reiki master and all that stuff, but I swear she is one of the most empathic people I've ever met. Now, when I say empathic, I mean she feels what other people are feeling, right? And how was your experience with the eclipse yesterday? Like,
I had all kinds of emotions all day long. However, I do feel that it is new beginnings.
Yeah.
For everyone, for the world. It's letting go of the old stuff. And if a person has a hard time with it, it's because stuff is coming up to the surface in order to heal and to let it go.
Yeah.
So we can start a new way of being in the world.
Yeah.
And it was exciting.
Yeah.
I mean, it really was exciting.
And nobody could quite understand. I don't know if you had this same experience, but nobody could quite understand why I was so excited about this. And it was just like the energy of it. It's like the beginning of something. It's like the beginning of a relationship. You know how that is an excitement, it kind of bubbles in there, and it's just, it was
universal. It's like everybody was excited. Everybody was talking about it. It's like we were all together in this event.
Yeah, exactly.
The whole world.
Yeah.
It was fun.
It was fun. It was a lot of fun. Yeah. So let's talk about Reiki.
Okay.
You know, it was interesting because I was telling a lot of people that you were going to be on the show, and you know, there are many, many people out there who have no idea what Reiki is. So let's start at the beginning, if we could. And first of all, if you'd like to call in, if you have a question about anything about Reiki or energy healing, or you'd like a reading or anything like that, please feel free to give us a call. The phone number is down at the bottom of the screen. It's 818-835-5885. And if you'd like to call in for a reading, that would be great. Or if you have a question, like I said, or if you have a story about Reiki, or if you're into Reiki, bring it on. So anyway.
Okay.
So Nicole, tell us, the viewer who is not really familiar with Reiki, tell us about what Reiki really is.
Okay, well, Reiki is a healing practice that originated in Japan. Practitioners place their hands gently on or on top of the person in treatment. The goal is to facilitate their own healing response. So here in the United States...
Which, I'm sorry, but that's interesting. I don't mean to interrupt.
Yeah.
But that's so interesting because it's like you're sort of healing yourself.
Yes, absolutely.
I like that.
And in the United States, Reiki is complementary alternative medicine. So the word Reiki is derived from two words from Japan. Rei means universal. Ki is that life energy. Now, the practitioner doesn't generate the energy. It flows through the individual to the other person, which creates a much more powerful healing.
Okay.
Okay.
That's so fascinating because, you know, it's the same thing with like mediumship. And I think a lot of people, and I think this is sort of a thing that a lot of people think, that we as mediums, I mean, I do Kundalini Reiki, which is a little different, which we'll get into probably later. But, you know, it's not us generating this energy. It's not us generating these messages and the energy. It's flowing through us.
Exactly.
Into the person. And that is, I think, key. I think that's
key because we are all energy. And so, and in a sense, when you think about it, we're all helping each other. And the characteristics which I love about Reiki is simplicity. So anybody can do this because everybody has the energy within themselves. And it's all about just tapping into it and being attuned. And what I love about Reiki is that the energy is beyond any religion. It's beyond any belief system. And it is...
So you don't have to feel like you are... how do I want to say that? You don't have to feel like that you're going against your religion.
Exactly.
If you want to experience what Reiki is.
Exactly. So anybody can do this. Now, what's really interesting is that all it takes is the intention.
Yeah.
Just the intention of somebody wanting to help and heal another individual. And it's all based on unconditional love that's flowing through you.
Oh, I love that. Oh,
it's really, awesome. It's amazing. And it's been around for so long.
Yeah.
And it just seems like it's getting a lot more popular here in the United States. And what's great about it is what happens is it balances an individual, whether it's spiritual healing, emotional healing, physical healing, or mental healing. And what happens is the energy, however much that a person is open to, it will adapt into their bodies or the emotional state for the amount of energy that they can adapt to.
Mm-hmm.
So it really is an individual.
So because it's energy,
Mm-hmm.
can you, do you have to be in the same room?
No, you don't have to.
Probably,
be in the same
ideally,
room. Yeah.
you should be in the same room. I mean, in
Well,
a perfect
the
world,
energy,
but
well, what's interesting is that you can have it in a clinical setting, at home. You can heal yourself, because part of being a Reiki master, they want you. It's a way of life.
Mm.
Oh,
I love
it's a way of
that.
life,
Oh my
and
God.
you're practicing anywhere. And the beauty of it, because it's energy, there is no time or space. You can actually do healings for people anywhere in the world.
Mm-hmm.
I basically worked on my mom's best friend who's in Arizona, and it's basically setting the intention.
Yeah.
So again, there is no time or space, and it also can help heal past lives, past traumas that keep people stuck repeating the same pattern.
Yeah.
So it's very powerful.
Huge. That is huge. Let's talk about the patterns in our lives.
Yes.
You know, the older we get, and I hate to say this, but the older we get, I think the more patterns we see ourselves getting into.
Yes, because it becomes habit. So in the last 25 years, I would say off and on, I worked on emotional body work. And what happens as individuals is...
You personally, you mean?
I personally have done a lot of work on myself.
Mm-hmm.
I was an empath. And so sometimes I used to think, oh, it's a blessing and a curse at the same time, because you're picking up
really
all this
is.
energy. And
it really is.
It really is. And I was such a crybaby, and I would pick up on people's energy. And what I've noticed is that sometimes, because of habit, if we're stuck, and sometimes people are not even aware that there's maybe anger or fear or rage, disappointment that seems to be dictating and running the show, and we don't even know. And so what happens with the Reiki for individuals, there can be a very intense emotional release.
Yeah.
And when you have that emotional release, then the energy can be, the peace, love can be restored. So you go back to your true nature.
Oh, wow.
You know, and then you can
God.
start acting like a kid. Sometimes my 17-year-old daughter says, Mom, why do you act like such a kid? And those moments, you know, at 52, I do sometimes act like a kid, but it feels good to be able to go back to that natural state that we were actually born.
Yeah, right.
To have
that joy.
That joy.
Oh.
To tap into
Yeah.
it. Now, you know, and for me, it's not all the time, but there's a lot of people out there who are stuck.
Yeah.
You know, and...
Well, you know what? It's so interesting because life happens.
Yes.
Right? And I'm thinking of, like, throughout my life, because I'm 52 as well, amazingly enough.
Yeah.
You know, I go through my life and, you know, I can see, like, sort of waves. Like, oh, I was not in joy there. And then I can see this wave on here. Oh, you know what? I was starting to feel the joy again. And now it's like, because of all of this work, I mean, I've done a lot of Reiki, had Reiki on me, and I have done a lot of spiritual work and a lot of meditation over the last 20 years. And I can honestly say I live in joy. Well, 95% of the time, and we got to give ourselves a little bit of an out, right? But you know what? I mean, to have the modality, to have the sort of the tools,
to tap into, and Reiki is just another alternative medicine that does allow this. And so
how does it? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But how does it work exactly? Like, what do you do in, like, a session? Just like, you know.
Well, I usually spend about an hour and a half. And
That's
see, there's Reiki 1, Reiki 2, and then there's to become a Reiki master. And in these Reiki classes, you get symbols, you learn symbols, and you get attunements. Now, the attunements just wakes you up to be able to do this healing. So
it's such a cool way.
And it never goes away. So every human being, which is the beauty of it, no matter where, every human being has this ability because it's an energy within. So all it does is reawaken that which is already within you, and it never goes anywhere. And so what the attunement does is just kind of wake you up, and the faculty to be able to, again, setting the intention of wanting to help and heal through love. And it will, when you start working on somebody, what I find, I spend about an hour and a half, and I guess also because I use a little bit of my mediumship to ask questions to feel where the individual is stuck, and then the energy helps move that energy of the blockage. And so I use the symbols. How
do the symbols like work with that? That's one thing I've never understood.
Yeah, these symbols are actually derived. They were, back from these masters that started in Japan, and when you take the class, you become attuned, and they show you these symbols. Now, the thing is this, they have some books, and there's a little bit of controversy on it because they have some books out that show these symbols, but you really do need the attunement to wake it up.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so that's part of the healing and part of the session.
Okay. Now, when I actually got attunements for Kundalini Reiki, which is a whole different thing than what you...
I'm doing a traditional Reiki, but there's about 4 or 5 different types of Reikis.
Yeah. Now, I got the attunements, and I got them years and years ago.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting because this guy that I met online, he said, and I forget how I met him. I forget how I met him. But this is years ago. This is like when the internet was just kind of starting too, right? So I met this guy, I think it was like online, and he lived in like Sweden. He lived like really far away. And he said, I can send you an attunement. You just tell me the date and the time zone, all of that stuff, right? Yeah. So I said, okay, this date, this time, and I got three of them. And he said, okay, it's good for you maybe to be meditating when you get them or whatever, or whatever. But I decided to do it at night while I was sleeping.
Oh, okay.
And I don't, because this is years ago, so I don't exactly remember what happened, but I remember the last one. It was like a bomb. It was like an energy bomb went off inside me. And I could feel it here, and it went whoosh. And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah,
and it was awesome. It was an awesome, it was kind of like I knew to expect something, but I didn't know to expect that. And so it was really cool. And it was really wild. And so here I am laying in bed. My husband's like asleep next to me, and he has no idea what's going on. And it was really fun. Yeah. It was so cool. It was really cool.
Well, so did you so powerful?
Did you feel anything when you actually got the?
Yes, when I was attuned, I just felt so, and it's interesting because I felt so grateful cool. And filled with so much gratitude and universal love. I wanted it to be sustained for like forever, but of course we're in a human body. But at that moment, it was very, very powerful. And the interesting thing is, I worked on some of the people that I worked on. There was that emotional release of a lot of tears because again, it was trauma that was released. And afterwards, I saw their expression with such peace, such love, restored. However, it is true that some people, when they do Reiki, you can become a little nauseated, or nauseous. You can become lightheaded, dizzy, because it's bringing up stuff that needs to be healed and liberated and out. So sometimes, like if a person has pain in their body or pain in their shoulder, there might be a little bit more intense pain for a while until it's up and out. But if you decide to become get into Reiki and start healing people, those attunements are powerful. Yeah. And you feel a lot of love and you feel joy. The key is to share it. We want to share it with everyone.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing about this work. And Nicole and I were talking about this before the show started, that, we do this work. Like, I'm doing this show. I'm not getting any money for it. Yeah. And we do this work because we want to share the love. We want to share this amazing feeling of just joy, You know what? I would love for everybody out there to just feel this amazing joy and to feel like I feel like that through my mediumship development that I've found what my life's purpose is.
Yeah.
And you know what? How many people out there can really say that they've found their life's purpose. I mean, seriously, I don't mean to sound like, oh, I'm better than anybody else. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying that, like, it's a miracle in a sense.
Yeah,
you know,
no, it is a miracle. And I never understood when people said, when people would say, you know, you come here for a mission, you know, because everybody has a goal of why they're here on the planet. And I feel grateful that I found, I guess my calling is to wanting to help people. I'm wanting to heal myself and be healed so then I can help others. And then it just kind of expands, and it really is about, it's kind of like a circle where somebody will take my hand to pull me in the direction of being helped, and then I turn around and I can help somebody else. And you know, life can be difficult, and nobody said it was going to be easy. And it is, and you know, we have an emotional body, so we are going to feel fear, we're going to feel pain. Pain makes us grow. We're going to feel all these things, but what happens when we get older, sometimes people get stuck and they don't get to feel that peace or that joy, and it really is a birthright for all of us to do it. And I found that Reiki is just another means to being able to have that experience and tapping into it. So I feel very fortunate that I found the classes and that I'm able to share this.
So, okay, so this might be putting you on the spot a little bit, and I'm sorry, Nicole.
Okay.
How do you feel? I know, right? How would you feel about leading us in like a little prayer to like help us to set an intention for our lives for this? Because I feel like that because of this new energy, because of the eclipse and new beginnings and such, that we should somehow create a new intention for ourselves.
Okay.
Can you do that? Or
yes.
Okay, great.
Well, this is what I usually do in my sessions. I put my hands out, and you can whoever's watching the show.
Oh, you are such a
you
trooper.
can put your hands out like this, and just by focusing on your hands right here in your palms, some of you might start to feel a little warmth, a little tingling. That's the energy that flows through, and everybody has the ability to heal themselves and the ability to help heal others. And what I do, there's no religious background, but I do call upon the guardian angels for myself. I call upon all of the Reiki masters, past, present, and future, to be here. I call upon my ancestors who passed away on the other side and the person that I'm working on. And for me, I call upon the universal love, Father, Mother, God, however you want to name it. And I call upon, and I open up my hands for the energy to flow through me, to be a conduit, an open vessel, to allow the energy to flow through me to help another individual. And that's how I started. I set the intention. And it's always the intention of unconditional love. And so this energy flows through. And then I have the client lay down. And then I do the hands on. And you can start with the head, with the neck, the shoulders, the throat, the heart, down to the solar plexus, all the way down to the feet. And sometimes when I am working on somebody, if I feel I had an individual that actually had breast cancer, don't know if it was benign, but I felt a little tingling in my hand that there was some energy stuck. And so, again, I ask for guidance on how to help heal, facilitate a healing.
That's beautiful.
So, again, everybody and anybody can do this.
Yeah. And I think also, too, what you can create for yourself right now is set your own intention. And again, it doesn't have to be bodily healing. It can be body, mind, spirit, emotional,
Yeah.
anything. So find an intention. I think that's such a beautiful thought process for today because of the new beginnings of, the eclipse energy from yesterday is like, let's find an intention for ourselves that we can live into.
Yes.
For the next however long.
And, and also with the beauty of the principles. So when you're doing Reiki or as a Reiki master, it is a way of life. And there's 5 principles. Just for today, I will not worry. Just for today, I will let go of anger. Again, it's about just for today being grateful for all things and my parents. Just for today, making an honest living. And also just for today, being kind to all living things. And so those are the 5 principles. Now, again, I'm human. Doesn't mean I'm always feeling that, or I don't feel anger, or I don't worry. However, it's just being reminded to go back to those basics because we have to set an intention. How do we want to live our life daily?
Yeah.
Our daily practice.
Yeah.
And we just have to be reminded.
Yeah.
Especially with everything that's going on in the world.
Yeah, I know, right? So yeah, absolutely. And you know what I'll do? I will post those principles, the 5 principles, on my Facebook page. And because you know what? I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
Because boy, if we all just looked at, and if we all just like concentrated for just a few minutes every day on those 5 principles, how amazing would that be?
Exactly.
What a great life.
So. I mean, and we can all just remind ourselves, and again, not every day is going to be a perfect day, but just to get, if we get mad at somebody or we have an emotional outburst, forgive ourselves, move on, and get back to the principles. And, to remind ourselves and to remind the loved ones is key to have a healthy life and to have and to find out why we came.
Yeah, right, exactly.
What is our purpose? What is our purpose?
Mission? Yeah. So if anybody has a question for Nicole, I'd like to invite you to call if you'd like, 818-835-5885, and you're welcome to call with anything you want to say, really.
Yeah, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
We'll answer anything. Oh my God.
I know.
So if you'd like to call, that's the call-in number, and it's at the bottom of the screen, so you can feel free to call. Have you noticed a difference in how can I explain what I'm trying to say here? Have you noticed a difference in yourself since you've had the attunements and since you've have you noticed a clarity? Does a clarity come with that? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think for someone such as myself, being an empath and picking up a lot of emotions and not really knowing what to do with it. Yeah. And I think what saved me is doing the emotional body work on myself. Oh. But with being a medium and then the Reiki, I feel like it gives me a sense of purpose and also a sense of more confidence. Some people are born with lots of confidence and, they don't have any self-doubt, and that's just so amazing. And I wish I was one of those people, but I've had to learn to embrace these aspects of myself that I didn't find so appealing, but I worked with it, and doing the Reiki actually helped me to be more clear and feeling purposeful, mm-hmm. and having just more clarity on what I want to do and how I want to serve others and help others. I think there's a lot of us that are waking up
so true
to being just wanting to service people, and being helpers in this world. And I think with Reiki, being attuned, that has definitely helped me be a lot more grounded and focusing on, how I can help.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about being an empath. Okay, we throw around this word, or I throw around this word in other shows, and let's talk about being an empath. And the funny thing, well, it's not really funny, but it's funny that both of us are empaths.
Yeah.
And when you're an empath and you do any type of energy work, be it mediumship or psychic work or Reiki or whatever, it's really amazing, right? While you're doing this work, right? Because it really helps you tune into the person. Like whenever I'm doing a mediumship reading, I'll tune into that person and I can feel their sadness or I can feel their joy or whatever. I can just feel, actually, to be honest with you, in being an empath, it helps me because I kind of check in with the energy of the spirit that's come through for them.
Yes.
And so I'll have like somebody over here, like I'll be reading somebody and their loved one will be dancing a jig. Yeah. I mean, they'll just be so excited or this happens a lot to me, right? And I'm already like a fidgety person, but I'll like get the fidgety person, right? In fact, last week at our development circle, I was and somebody came through and they were like really hyper. And so I'm sitting there going like this, you know, my legs moving and I'm just like, can I just get this out? Yeah. So it was really like amazing. But I think a lot of that is because I'm an empath.
Yes.
And, you know, and I'm able to tune into that. So while that's great, while you're giving a reading, going to like the grocery store or Target or Walmart, that can be a challenge, right?
Yes.
Don't you think?
Absolutely. And it is challenging for me in the sense that I tend to pick up for whatever reason, and I think it's because I am to help heal those parts. I tend to pick up people's underlying pain, fear, where they're stuck.
Yeah.
And so so that can be quite intense. Let me tell you.
Right.
And and it's my desire. It's really truly my desire to help people release some of it, so they can have more change in their life, so they can have more joy. So an example, I worked on an individual that loved to dance, but I picked up that she liked to dance, but she hasn't done it in so many years. But because there was so much fear from her childhood, she really didn't live the life of getting out there and doing the things that she loved and wanted to do, because it was like she was stuck. So when I did the Reiki session, it liberated some of this fear. And she told me that the other night she was going to start a dance class. That's great. So that really, made me feel really good, because sometimes it's those deep, so-called negative emotions, and I think we don't want to feel them. We tend to not want to feel them because we find them unacceptable or unappealing or just uncomfortable. However, it's needed to go through those feelings just to liberate it. Because it's stuck in the body. Yeah. It gets stuck in the body. So as an empath, for me, it's really hard because I'll feel it. And sometimes an individual won't even know what's happening. And so that's where the Reiki comes in, is to help move it. Right. Yeah. But
so you know what? That leads me to the question then. Like, I have so many questions now. Every time we talk about something, I think I have 5 more questions. Yeah. But how can we keep that moving forward? Like, okay, so you want to keep that sort of childish joy. Is that what I want to say? That joy, how can we, because, we tend to backslide, right? I mean, things happen and you tend to backslide. How can you, continue? I guess you could keep doing Reiki. You could just keep going to somebody.
Well, so the key is that Reiki is something that a person can try and see how they feel, what they experience. And the real key, it's all about the energy that gets stuck in the body, and that's what causes dis-ease. So when people tend to ignore it, deny it, the so-called negative emotions, which again, it's like, it's fear, it's rage, it's disappointment. When we tend to ignore it and suppress it, it gets locked in the body, which then creates dis-ease. Right. Whether it's emotional dis-ease, physical dis-ease, mental dis-ease. And we're finding more and more that it's all correlated together.
Yeah, right. Sure. Absolutely.
And so when this energy is locked in, and you don't express it, it stays in the body. And the key is to liberate it, get it moving, because all it is energy. So it's like a baby. You see when a baby falls and then they hurt themselves and then they cry for like a couple of seconds or a minute, and then all of a sudden they start to laugh, or and then they get tired and then they get cranky. It's just because they're in such a natural state that they're just moving through it.
God, I wish we could do that. We could be that all the time.
I know. And so,
that would be so awesome.
But what happens, the older we get, sometimes we get stuck, and then we don't allow ourselves to feel, because again, sometimes it can be uncomfortable. Yeah. But that's the key, is to allow ourselves to tap in to what we feel, let it up, feel it, let it out, and to keep it flowing. And that's the great beauty about Reiki, is that it's an energy flow. And, I guess the beautiful thing about somebody who wants to get started in Reiki is that when I'm working on an individual, it's also benefiting me, because the energy is working through me to help that person. So it also benefits the individual.
That's great.
So that's really, it's really
That's
cool.
really awesome. That's really awesome. Okay, so now my question then goes to, we talk about keeping a high vibration, okay, and keeping our vibration high and in a place of love.
Yeah.
Tell me what your thoughts are on that and Reiki and how that can play in with each other. Does that make sense?
Yes. To be truthful, sometimes I do wake up in a bad mood. And sometimes I'll wake up in a mood where, because it's, there's a lot of uncertainty in the world, and, there's some people, we're going through so much change.
Yeah.
In the world, individuals, our friends, our families, things seem to be a little unstable sometimes with everything that's going on. And so what happens is we need to keep our energy high. We need to keep that frequency high. That means eating, better for ourselves, eating a healthier diet, meditation, again, releasing the negative emotions that's locked in the body. For me, what's helped is the Reiki is the 5 principles, is being reminded every day of the 5 principles to keeping that energy.
Let's go through them again.
Yes.
Just for today, do not worry.
Just for today, do not worry. Just for today, I will let go of anger. Just for today, I will honor my parents and be grateful. Have a heart filled with gratitude. Just for today, I make an honest living. And just for today, I will be kind to all living things. So those are the 5 principles of Reiki.
That's amazing. I love that.
Yeah.
And I have girlfriends that we're all into this kind of stuff, and I just think that that's fantastic, and I can't believe I've never heard those before.
Yeah. So it helps.
So that's great.
And maybe you'll even make up your own principles.
Yeah, that's true. You can just make up your own.
Yeah, of what is going to help
works for you. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love that.
Really, I love that. It's all good stuff.
Yeah. So what's interesting to me about this whole, energy healing and all of that kind of stuff is that, in trying to keep your, I want to go back to the vibration question. And the reason why is because I don't know that a lot of people quite understand about how keeping yourself in higher vibration can really change your world. It can rock your world. Keeping yourself in a place of love as much as possible is going to create what in your life versus being constantly in the state of fear. Like there's like explain that better than I just did.
As an empath, what I've noticed, and there's a lot more people out there who are extremely sensitive that are not even aware of you know, sometimes you might be thinking, well, why do I feel so sad, or why do I not feel good? And, you know, they're not aware of it. So self-medication and, you know, all these things. But I notice for myself, when I'm with people that are lower vibration, meaning complaining all the time, rude, filled with anger, filled with hatred, non-forgiveness, you know, and it might happen to all of us at a certain thing, that because it's part of life. However, it's a conscious decision of letting it go, healing ourselves and helping each other heal, so we don't live in that state. And I really find that when I'm with people who are more of a higher consciousness, meaning they want to bring more love, they want to help people, they don't have any intentions on harming somebody or putting somebody down, then it keeps when I'm around people like that, it keeps me feeling lighter, more peaceful, more in a state of joy. And you know what? I don't know about you guys, but this world needs it.
Yeah.
Right now,
That's so true.
We need it more than ever to be able to be kind to one another and to help each other out.
Okay, so then that leads me to a very difficult question, in that in the world that we're in now, where there's so much, you know, you turn on the news and it's negative, and there's the words, there are words being thrown around on the news lately that we haven't heard in years upon years upon years.
Yes.
You know, and I'm not even going to say them because I don't want to bring the vibration of the show down. I don't want to use those words. But how, you know, how do we, like, on our daily lives, I mean, you can't just, here's my thing. I try to be practical and I try to be realistic. You can't just turn off the news. And those of you that know me get it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I am like kind of a news junkie,
Yeah.
right? I will say that one of the things that I actually do is I can somehow lately, I've been able to compartmentalize and turn off, dare I say it, turn off my empathetic sort of nature, okay? And get into what my thoughts are about what's going on the news, okay? It's a hard thing to do, number one, okay? But, you know, you can't just turn off everything. You can't just not watch the news for days, weeks, months on end. Maybe some people can, but I just can't. So what are your thoughts on how do we, as human beings, move forward and still keep our happy?
Yes.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes,
like, how do we keep
agree.
our happy?
Yeah, because again,
What are
we
your
are
thoughts
being
on that?
bombarded with a lot of negativity on TV, the news, people not being kind to one another. I found that the word that's helped me and to focus on is discernment. You know, when we talk about keeping our joy up, you people out there know, just like I know, some of the people that we have to let go of. Right. Some of the things in the world that we have to let go of in order to keep our sanity, in order to keep our peace. And it's not easy. And I realized that when I started Reiki, I was told by my instructor, helped me realize that people, places, and things will fall away out of your life that isn't for your higher good.
That's so true.
And so sometimes we're going to have to turn off the news if it's really upsetting us.
Right.
And we're going to have to, but if we want to know what's going on in the world.
If you can feel yourself going south, going into that place of hate.
Or such anger, frustration. You know, if you feel it, allow yourself to feel it, but then get back, you know, pat yourself on the back, forgive yourself for getting there, and then getting back on track. And, you know, if you have to watch the news, kind of discern and feel out what is real, what is truthful, what do you want to hold on to, what do you want to let go of. And, but I think that's so we true. Know, and it's so hard because sometimes we have family members that we love. You know, we love the shows. I used to watch a particular news station all the time because I just loved it. And, but again, it's those people, places, and things that sometimes we have to turn off.
Yeah, right.
And feel the disappointment that it's not comfortable.
Yeah.
However, how are we going to keep our energy and our vibration up? Because if we don't, how are we going to help anybody?
Yeah.
Out there, if you have kids and, if you're let's say I have a girlfriend who just drives me crazy and she's always bringing me down. I can't be a great mom to my daughter if I'm constantly bringing that drama into her. So
that's right.
So my empathic, my sensitive side says, maybe speak less on the phone.
Yeah.
Maybe let it go.
Yeah. Right.
But we have to be discerning.
Yeah. It's true. It's true. And you know what? It can be a hard thing to do.
Yes.
At one point, I turned off the news and I stopped watching the news for a while, right? And I am kind of a news junkie, so it was kind of weird and difficult for me to do, right, for a while. But what ended up happening was that I somehow sort of settled myself, and I was able to get to this place of I don't know what the word would be, but I calmed myself down, vibrationally, I calmed myself down, and I was able to then start watching the news again, it's been okay ever since. I'm compartmentalizing it a lot better. What's interesting is that when I feel like I've had enough for the day or whatever, I'll turn on, and you guys are going to laugh, right? I'll turn on the show Friends. It's everywhere.
I love Friends.
Right. It's everywhere, and it's everywhere all the time.
Everybody loves
right?
it. Even my 17-year-old daughter and all her friends
right.
love it.
I know. My daughter watches it all the time too. So I don't understand why, but and it makes me laugh.
Yeah.
So you know what? I'll turn on, and you know what else? You know what other show I realized, and this is a show from my childhood, was the show MASH.
Oh,
do you remember MASH?
Yes, I love
it. Okay, it was not a great subject matter, right? Because they were at war, but it was a comedy, right? So I'm able to, and I still do this. If it gets to be too much, I'll just turn that on, and I'll just, and it's so interesting. Or, I turn on the radio or whatever, and I listen to, different types of music and everything. And it's been working. It's been I'm able to do that.
Yeah.
So it's just, you just have to find what your sort of switch is, I guess you could say. You have to find what your thing is that you can do for yourself. For some people, it's maybe take a walk maybe take a walk.
Or,
in nature,
It's interesting is the things that I love to do as a child: swimming, rollerblading, being out in nature. And these are simple things. So you can ask yourself quietly, what did you do as a child that brought you laughter and some fun? And go for it. Just do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love swimming in the ocean, and I'll be in Miami actually tomorrow. And I'll be in Florida, so I'm going to take advantage of that warm water and
talk about a life change.
Yeah.
Talk about a life change. We're in Los Angeles right now.
Yes.
Right? She's moving to the whole way across the country tomorrow. So I was really lucky to get her to come on my show the day before she leaves. So thank you for that.
Yeah. So I'm glad I was able to talk about the Reiki. And if anybody have any questions, you can call us.
I think what we decided to do is if you want to talk to Nicole, you can contact me and I will put you in touch with her. Okay. Yeah. So on my Facebook page or on my YouTube channel or whatever.
So if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. And I'll be in Miami, Florida.
Oh my gosh. So far away. But you know what though is so cool? Nowadays there's Skype. Right? There's Skype. And I have to put it on your phone though. I have to make sure I put it on her phone.
And I'll probably be here in LA hopefully in the next month or two for a visit, my daughter or Thanksgiving. And, again, it's just an adventure for all of us because we really don't know what's in store for our future.
It's so true.
And for somebody who worries, I'm an empath and I get all these intense feelings. And what helps me with the Reiki is getting back into the flow. And I have to tell myself every day, one day at a time. Just for today.
Yep.
Because we tend to worry about what's going to happen tomorrow, the future, or the past. And we cannot take back the past, and we don't know what's going to happen in the future. So, I would recommend for everybody to sit quietly, even if it's for 5-10 minutes, just to get centered, because we're living in it's an interesting time right now.
And find your intention. find your intention. You know what? I'm going to create my intention right now. I'm going to sort of declare it, which I really didn't plan to do because it's a very personal intention.
Yeah.
So I can't believe I'm doing this.
Yeah.
But you know what? When I started the show, I decided I'm bringing my life to the show. So there we go. At any rate, my intention is to move forward with my energy work, be it mediumship or psychic work or even energy healing, all of that stuff, without fear. My intention is to create personal power without fear, because there have been so many times, and you know what? 52 years of stuff, and it builds up and builds up and builds up, and there's always, I shouldn't say always, but there's a lot of times there's just fear. It's based on fear, right?
Yeah.
So that stops you. Things that stop you, you know, it's fear based. So I am creating the intention right now of moving forward with this show and with everything I'm doing with my mediumship and spiritual work, fearless.
I love that.
Oh my gosh.
I love that.
Would you like to create something?
Yes. And you know what? I'm going to expand on that because fear does block us from our good. And fear blocks us from going forward. And sometimes you have to fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
And you have
my God, so true.
And, you know, and don't allow fear to dictate, you know, everything that's happening in the world. It's a lot of this is fear-based, and we have to set our intention of how do we want to live our life. We might feel the fear, but we can just embrace it and do the things anyways.
Yes.
So there's a saying.
Do it anyway. Courageous.
Yes, courageous. And there's a saying. Be afraid, but not too afraid.
Yeah.
To feel it, to, you know, and then so it can disperse and so it's not going to dictate our life.
Well, who said that? Courageousness is feeling the fear and doing it anyway or something?
Yeah.
It's something like that. Well, at any rate, you get the idea of that.
Yeah.
I love that.
And fear is what? Is it false evidence appearing real?
Oh, I love that.
So we have to remind ourselves. And so, it's a great intention. Let's all decide to go in this world fearless, just to move forward.
Yeah.
Let's move forward in helping ourselves to help other people.
Yeah.
That I think is going to really help.
You can't go wrong. I'm sorry, but I think that's like so amazing. Like, it's an amazing thought to consider, you know, moving forward and helping other people, you know, it doesn't have to be like in a professional way. It can be helping your children or helping your friends or helping your spouse or helping, you know, I mean, so it can be all of those ways of being. It doesn't have to be, you know, it doesn't have to be like career-wise, you know, I mean, you can do all sorts of different ways of doing that. But what's interesting is that in terms of what we were just talking about in the next 2 weeks, remember I said about what Christopher Renstrom said, areas in your life that need correcting, we'll be figuring that out in the next 2 weeks. So really interesting, because let's create that, you know, let's just create that. So any last words? We have about maybe 5 minutes or so left. So is there anything else that you can tell us about Reiki and that's, you know, that would be helpful to somebody who doesn't necessarily you know, isn't necessarily familiar with what Reiki is or that sort of thing? What else can you tell us?
Well, you know, Reiki is an alternative, it's alternative medicine.
Is it considered, I don't mean to, is it considered medicine? I mean, or is it considered
it's an alternative healing, a modality.
A modality.
So, you know, there are hospitals that when people are having surgery, when they're having surgery, sometimes people will come in and do some Reiki to expand and have the healing be done in a, you know, faster rate depending on the individual. But I would recommend,
that's amazing.
It really it'll speed up the recovery. There's a lot of magical things depending on the individual, how open they are to the energy that, that you can try. I would recommend for somebody who has never done it to maybe look up in your local Reiki practitioner and do a session. Have a session or look into
Just
it for
try
yourself
Yeah.
and see what you think about it, because how could it hurt to have more people on the planet,
That's so true.
doing, whether it's essential oils, readings, the Reiki, all this type of alternative medicine to increase health and joy and happiness. I mean, we can't, unfortunately, right now, there's more people that are, obese. Drug abuse is prevalent. A lot more people are sick. A lot of people have cancer. My mom is one of them, and that's one of the reasons I'm going to Miami. And so there's a lot of things going on in the world that is causing, again, for us to be in fear mode. And all these alternative ways of learning to be to take our power back in order to heal ourselves, it can't hurt.
Yeah. Well, that's the whole thing. It can't hurt to try it.
It can't hurt to try it.
And you know what? If you feel happier when you're done, great. I mean, that's the best way. I mean, that's the whole. I mean, I don't know. In my head, in the Lauri logic of the world, right?
Yeah.
You can't go wrong when you just try something. And
try it.
Don't allow the fear to stop you from that, because life, this is life.
This
right
is life.
Here, and that's the way it is.
Let's make the best of it.
Yeah. So,
and again, nobody said it was going to be always easy. It can be simple at times.
Mm-hmm.
But let's make a conscious decision to help ourselves, heal ourselves, so we can help heal and help others.
That's so fantastic.
I love it.
And what a great way to end the show. I mean, wow, that's so great.
Yeah.
So thank you, Nicole, for being my guest. Yay.
Thank you for letting me be here.
Yay. And you know what? I thought it was very informative. So thank you for that. Because, I try to a lot of people don't know what this stuff is, So, I try to start at a certain point, at a learning point, a beginner's level kind of, and then we go up from there. So at any rate, next week on my show, I will have my good friend Karen Pofsky will be with me. She is a life coach. And if you're at all interested in learning about what you can achieve from having a life coach, you might want to tune in for that, because first of all, everybody loves Karen. You just do. And you'll see why next week. So you should tune in. Everybody just loves Karen. And you know what? She's a fantastic life coach. And I think it's going to be a really exciting show. It's going to be a really good show. So, So thank you for tuning in. I appreciate every single one of you. And thank you so much for your love. Thank you so much for just your encouragement, and have a great day, everybody. Namaste.
Namaste.
And be happy, everybody.
See you next week.
Thank you for watching Spiritually Speaking with Lauri Albert.